like I just don't have as much lipstick on as I wish I did. It smells so good though. It smells really fruity. Hello sunshines! So today I am going to be doing the Totally Should've book tag. This tag was originally created by Emma from Emma Books here on YouTube. I most recently saw it completed by Catty-tastic, and I just thought it would be a fun book tag to do, so here I am doing it. The whole point of this book tag is to basically explain things that we think should have happened in some of our favorite books or just in the book universe. This book tag has 11 questions. They're pretty speedy, but I'm just gonna dive right in. Question number 1. A book that totally should have gotten a sequel. For this one, I chose Soundless by Richelle Mead. Now, I'm sort of on the fence about having chosen this book because I actually really liked that it was a standalone, because very rarely do you come across books, especially in young adult fiction, that are standalone. However, I do feel like there could have been more meat to it. There were so many things that I wish I had had explained about the past and about the future sort of after it ended, and just history and the world could have been built a little bit more robustly, I think, if it had had a sequel. So I really liked that this book was a standalone book, but at the same time I also think that it totally should have had a sequel. Question number 2. A book that totally should have had a spin-off series. Now, this one I don't actually have the books because my sisters have our books from when we were younger, but I would have to say absolutely anything A Series of Unfortunate Events related, I would totally read. I know that there have been a few spin-off books like the VFD Handbook and something having to do, I think there was a book about Count Olaf at one point, but if Lemony Snicket or Daniel Handler wrote anything about how the Baudelaire family used to live, or the Quagmires, or how Count Olaf became kind of where he was in society, or involved with VFD, or any of that, I would eat it up. Even though there have been some companion books to A Series of Unfortunate Events, there haven't really been any spin-off series, and I would be totally okay if there were a spin-off series of A Series of Unfortunate Events. Question number 3 is to name an author who should totally write more books. For this question, I chose A.S. King, who is the author of Ask the Passengers. A.S. King has written other books that I actually haven't read yet, and I totally need to. However, I think she totally should write more books because this book was completely poignant and beautiful, and I just absolutely loved it. Question number 4 is to name a character who you think totally should have ended up with someone else. For this question, I chose Princess Adolin from The Heir, which is the 4th book in the Selection series by Kiera Cass. And the reason that I chose this is because, man, Adolin was a whiner. I think I always meant to do a review of this book, and if I did, I will definitely link it at some point, but basically, I just wish Adolin had been better with the boys who were in her selection. At some point I was like, girl, just make up your mind what you want, stop being a little rude person and just be nice to somebody, and maybe somebody would actually like you for who you are and you could like someone back, and it could be a relationship. Fancy that. Question number 5 is to name a book that totally should have ended differently. To answer this question, I chose Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins, the 3rd book in the Hunger Games trilogy, and the reason I chose this book is, if you've read it, I'm pretty sure you know why I chose this book. I feel like Suzanne Collins took a page from George R.R. Martin's book, and yeah, I wasn't super happy with the way this ended. I felt pretty bummed about it all. So I would have to say that Mockingjay is a book that I wish had ended differently, and maybe less chaotically and less abruptly too. And I understand some of the reasons why it ended the way it did, but I just feel like it could have ended differently and I would have been a lot happier about it. Question number 6 is to name a series that totally should have had a movie franchise. So that's a little bit different than a book that you feel like just should have been made into a movie, I feel like. And so for this book, I chose The Young Elites by Mary Lou. I actually haven't yet finished this book. I'm like halfway through it. It would be a movie akin to the Percy Jackson series, I think, and they're just fun movies to watch and really interesting. This is a book that I think would make a really great movie and a movie franchise because there's lots of stuff and merchandise that could come from this series as well. Question number 7 is to name a book or book series that totally should have had a TV series. For this one, I chose the Selection series by Kiera Cass because this book series is essentially a reality TV show anyway. It's just asking to be made into a reality TV show or a TV show in general. I think that this would translate very well to the TV world. Question number 8 is to name a book or book series that totally should have had only one point of view. For this question, I chose the book Reached by Ali Condi from the Matched trilogy. I don't know, I feel like maybe I'm in the minority here, but having Xander and Cassie's 2 different points of view for the same story happening, I don't know, I didn't feel like it really was necessary. Maybe I would feel differently if it had been written from just one person's perspective, but I don't know, take it or leave it. Number 9 is to name a book that should totally have a cover change. And the book that I came up with for this was The Goddess Test by Amy Carter. I don't think that the cover really speaks to what the book is about. It's just a girl laying in the grass and I feel like it could have been more impactful or more related to the subject at least. Number 9 is to pick a book or book series that totally should have kept the original covers, and for this one I chose The Winner's Curse trilogy by Marie Rutkowski. For a hot minute there, the publisher of Marie Rutkowski's books was actually going to change the covers when the 3rd book hadn't even been released yet, and the internet kind of had a moment like I would because these covers are so beautiful and captivating, and it's part of what actually drew me to this book series. Thankfully, they actually changed their minds and are going to release the 3rd book with the original theme and style of the first 2, and then if they decide to change the covers, they'll change them once all 3 of them are out. So that was a close call, but this is a book that if it had been changed, I would have said totally should have had the same cover. The 3rd book totally should have had the same cover as the original 2. And question number 11 is to name a book that totally should have stopped at 1 book. To answer this question, I chose Rebel Belle by Rachel Hawkins. I actually started reading the 2nd book and stopped. I mentioned it in a book wrap-up, I think over the summer, where I just had to put it down because it was just not a good book, and the first one was okay. It wasn't great. It was okay, and I get why it's a trilogy or a duology or whatever it is, but I feel like it could have been 1 book and it would have been fine. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Sometimes I just like to do book tags because it helps me think about books that I have in a new and different way. I am going to tag a few people, and those people are my friend Christina Horner, my friend Jen, who I don't remember what Jen's YouTube is, but I will make sure to link down below. I'm going to tag Emily, Jedi Juggler, and I'll also tag you if you feel like you would like to do this video but you haven't been tagged. Go ahead and just do it because it's super fun, and there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! 7 books where the protagonist is LGBTQ+. This is a genre that is definitely...
Yoga is the bomb.
Oh, we got